And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald coming right back at you here with my good friend Josh Peterson. Just got to let you know, we are on online radio 7 days a week. If you want to check out the schedule on where we're playing on all those great radio stations, just check us out on our social media, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook or at Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter. If you like getting our latest episodes and bonus episodes like Extra Cosmic Crossfires, Classic Topicocalypse shows, or even more stuff from Humanica Media, go ahead, subscribe today, and you will get our latest programs dropped to you immediately as soon as they go ahead online. That you can go ahead and subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or any one of the other great audio podcast outlets that we're on by just going ahead and typing in Pop Culture Cosmos and subscribing to our Pop Culture Cosmos channel. Josh, I know you've got a great thing going on with Humanica Media. So tell me, man, I know you're going to be at E3 2018 with Humanica Media, but what else is going on in the great world of Humanica Media?
We're gonna do we're gonna have some E3 content getting posted here, but also there'll be a new episode of Topicocalypse, a new I don't know about a new Super BS this week, but Charles is doing my friend Charles Smith is doing a reaction to the Stanley Cup, which you can check out soon.
My reaction is I'm bummed that the Golden Knights didn't go all the way over the Washington Ovechkins, but we won't go there.
Well, I mean, when Ovechkin was skating around that cup, the girl in the audience clearly wasn't bummed that he had won.
Yeah, I know. It's been parading all around the internet. Yeah. That's just awesome for the Ovechkins. Should have been the Golden Knights, but we won't go there. I will say this to close out the show. We're gonna close out the show this week. Actually, Josh, in our many interactions with each other over the course of the week, probably just that, almost to the point where he probably hangs up his phone and disconnects his phone and internet and social media on me. But in all of our interactions this week, he said, dude, we got to talk about this because I'm really hot under the collar about this. It's the sequel to it's the sequel to A Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, A Girl in the Spider's Web. This actually is going to include pretty much none of the stars that we saw from the first film. There is a trailer that's out. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was actually kind of good. I know that the stars, the stars, of course, are different than the first film. The characters that we become familiar with, especially the lead character, is now with somebody else. Rooney Mara decided not to come back to the role. It happens. They didn't give her enough money or whatever she was looking for. Maybe it was creative differences. Maybe she had another project she was doing. Who knows? Josh, I know, is upset with what's transpired with the sequel. Obviously, Sony wanted to go ahead with it because they loved the success of the first film, and it's always about the money, even when they say it's not. So I want to hear your thoughts, Josh. You've been simmering and stewing about this now for a couple days to share this with the world. Why are you so upset with A Girl in the Spider's Web?
Because if you look at the trailer, it really has almost absolutely nothing to do with the book. They didn't show us Mikhail Blomkis. They just showed us Lisbeth Salander acting like Batman. They even gave her a white mask to make her look like she's some kind of superhero. And this is what bothers me. This is going to make me sound really bad, but it seems to me that Sony's trying to cash in on a social fad of making women like hyper awesome. And the thing is, like, this is going to sound bad, but hear me out, is the fact that they have, if you ever read the book, Lisbeth Salander is already awesome in that book. Like, she's one of the best heroine characters I have ever read in my life. And I'm a huge fan of the book series, so I feel like I'm entitled to have this opinion. But it just, to me, like, nowhere in the book did they show the stuff in the trailer where she's going around fighting men who have abused women. That, that's kind of part of her characters in the book, but they don't ever talk about it. And it looks like in this movie, this has become such a huge part of the movie that there's not really any. What is in the book? What is in the book besides Lisbeth Salander? What is in the book in the movie besides Lisbeth Salander and the title of the book? It looks like they don't even have the characters that made the book what it was. So does it have anything to do with the book? And I guess my question to you would be, do you think, because it basically looks like Atomic Blonde, but do you think that we are getting to a point where it's so important to deliver a social agenda in these movies that we're willing to sacrifice the source material for that? Good source material, by the way.
Well, it tells me that Sony didn't like what the source material was. Sony wanted to go ahead and create its own story, the first movie. It obviously tells me that whatever the source story material was that you like so much, they didn't think was going to be marketable to a large audience. So it tells me that they wanted to go ahead, and you're right, they are capitalizing a little bit on the social agenda that's out there and the empowerment of women. And I don't find that so troubling. Obviously, domestic violence is a troubling issue in our society. I think it does need to be addressed. Does it really address it in a fashion where, it needs to be? I don't know. I'll leave that up to the viewers out there. She's just trying to fight back against individuals who do wrong and harm to women. Obviously, that's something to be, I guess, I don't know. That's, to me, is just something that obviously it's at the forefront of people's minds right now, along with a lot of other things that make up what we're talking about in today's news and politics and all that. I am not as hard on it as you. Maybe it's because of the fact I haven't read the source material as of yet, but it's obvious that Sony took whatever source material from it and they just said, you know what, this is not going to reach an audience that we want to, but we still want to keep the association with the first film. So that part is a money ploy. We all can see that. What I want to know is why. What I'm saying is that the social agenda that they're trying to meet, yes, they're trying to maybe capitalize on it, but I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure it's necessarily not such a bad thing. I kind of think that domestic violence is something that needs to be brought out to the forefront. That's something that we do need to try and pay more attention to. Does it glorify that in a way? I don't know if glorifying is the best word for it. I know obviously creating a sort of like quote unquote superhero out of it but it's just the way, it's just the changing times and changing trends of our society. I think of what it comes down to, and that these were situations 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago that we would see these type of films and it would be the man in this type of situation saving the day. Now that there's a woman in this type of vigilante, vigilante Charles Bronson type deal, a Death Wish type deal now, that maybe some odd people are just not wanting to see that. And I understand that why you are upset with the film, because it's taking away such great source material. But I think it's just the fact that Sony, in all points of time, is just trying to go ahead and capitalize on this social environment that we have when it comes to the empowerment of women and taking it one step further.
Yeah, but if you read the books, she already is like the embodiment of women empowerment. She is one of the, like, maybe you'll have to censor this out, one of the most badass women characters I have ever read in a book or even seen in, the earlier Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie. What they did is they turned her into a hyper violent Batman. And they, like, if you see in the trailer, she has the white mask or whatever, like, why?
Yeah, I know. And it's like, to me, the Charles Bronson from the Death Wish movies. I mean, and in fact, what we just saw with Bruce Willis in his own reincarnation of the Death Wish movie. I mean, it's just someone going on a vengeance trail. Now, obviously, her motivations are different than his. She's trying to stop and combat domestic violence and those who commit domestic violence, which I'm not sure is such a bad thing, to at least bring it out to the forefront that this is a serious issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, no, bring it to the forefront. And she does that in the books. In the books, in the source material, she does that. So why, if they want to make a hyper violent vigilante female hero, then just give her own thing and don't ruin it for the people who are fans of this series. And the books, obviously the source material is good, or else the book wouldn't be climbing up the New York best time seller list every time a new entry comes out.
But again, it goes to the point that Sony is in this for the money, and they want to associate this with the previous film that was such a surprise success. I'm sorry that it doesn't relate a lot to what the original source material is, in your opinion. But again, they want to associate that instead of making it its own new IP. They wanted to go ahead and associate it with something successful so they can just go from there. I'm just sad the fact that none of the characters that we saw in the first film or the say are in this film. And that to me says a lot about the future success of this film, because a lot of people, they're going to notice that, hey, I don't remember any of these people from the first film because they weren't there. That to me shows that it's kind of iffy if they're going to be able to see any kind of return on investment on this sequel. So it was kind of disappointing from that realm, because if we're not even getting Rooney Mara in that role that she made famous in A Girl from the Dragon Tech 2, and it's only the second film, if it was the fourth or fifth iteration of this, I would understand. She could tire the role and she'd just walk away. But when you're only on the sequel, when you're only on the second time around, that tells me that Sony just couldn't find whatever it took to get her back into the role. And it tells me that there's not a lot of great fortune, unfortunately, for this title because of that. Because it rarely in the movie world have we seen a complete overhaul of the cast of characters involved and gotten a sequel with a totally new main character and actually see it come to fruition as a success. So I'm hopeful that I will be proven wrong, because like I said, it does bring the issue of domestic violence to light and how we need to address it as a society, and how we need to address it as I'm not saying go out and be vigilante, mind you, but we need to be more aware that it does go on in our daily life, and that we need to basically give women more power in trying to go ahead and combat this awful, awful, terrible thing known as domestic violence.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I disagree with why it needs to be in this movie.
Like I said, it's just about Sony attaching a new movie, but attaching the familiar name people have become accustomed to, and trying to get a boost out of that. I'm not sure if it's going to work. It may initially see a audience who are looking for a lot of the same things that they saw in the original movie, but long term, I'm not sure. I really have my doubts about it, because of the fact that it has to stand well on its own, because it features all new characters, and it cannot rely for too long on the past that it has been, on the past that it's trying to associate itself with. So we'll have to wait and see, my friend. But I'm sorry that it's not pleasing to you yet. Maybe another trailer will bring more things to light and bring a more positive outlook for you. But if you're out there, you might want to go ahead and read A Girl in the Spider's Web, so you can have your own thoughts on the film before it comes out to theaters. What are your thoughts on A Girl in the Spider's Web? Are you okay with the trailer that came out with? Are you excited to see the film after seeing the trailer? Or are you like Josh, that you're upset that not only the characters, but the subject matter and the source material is being deviated severely from what was presented in the books? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, also as well at popculturecosmo on Twitter, and of course, Humanica Media, Game Source, and everything else that we do on social media. So Josh, any last thoughts on the way out? I know E3 2018, it's going to be an exciting week for you, my friend. I know you're looking forward to it. We're going to be coming back, hopefully, like you said, we're going to try and do either with the Super BS Gamescast, Topicocalypse, or whatnot with updates, but also as well with Pop Culture Cosmos on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page, Twitter, and all that. But I'm just so glad you're going to get a chance to go down to E3 2018 and check out all the new stuff going on there.
Yeah, Sam, it's going to be fun. I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. Be sure to just keep checking back to the old Facebook pages.
We're going to wrap it up in a nice, tidy bow on Friday with everything that we liked and disliked about E3 coming up on the PCC Multiverse when it hits on Friday. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great